ourselves, try and visualize that if we do not bring about a course correction, or if we do not kind of bring about a change, how is this going to kind of impact our future? So similarly, if you're looking at it from an economic perspective, or a corporate perspective, or a talent perspective, I think this has given us a good time to kind of take a step back, reflect on our future strategy, and consider that for us to continue to stay relevant when the storm has passed, when this pandemic scenario has passed, what will it take for us to do for us to be in a better situation? So, like I said, even if we look at ourselves as individuals, so because of the pandemic, lot of people have lost their jobs, uh, but probably this situation is not going to last forever. Things will at some point return back to normalcy, and people who have lost their jobs and who have become redundant, unless and until they are able to kind of take a step back, but at the same time visualize what the next 10 years are going to look like, what are the kind of jobs that are going to be in demand, what are the kind of skill sets that are going to be in demand, and they're able to kind of apply themselves accordingly, only then they will continue to be relevant. Because if you do not have the skill sets that the jobs of the future are going to demand, then it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, which university you went to, how qualified you are, the matter of the fact is going to be that you will continue to remain unemployed, because that job has been taken up probably by artificial intelligence, by machines, by something else. So so this particular period of crisis, of the pandemic or the recession, whether you're a business, whether you're a government, or whether you're an individual, is probably a time to kind of take a step back and frankly look at the future strategy, and consider where and how we are going to be positioned when the storm has passed, and what do we need to do to be in a better position or better equipped. So this is so these are a couple of instances which I have listed out here. One is the SARS epidemic, which hit China back in 2003, and that is the time when Alibaba, which is a really big global major now, actually launched its first consumer marketplace. Before that, they were more focused on the B2B side of things, or they were more of a wholesaler. But when the SARS epidemic hit China in 2003, that is when the company launched its first B2C marketplace. And they kind of people in China, they moved to online shopping, and that is what has led the company to become a $500 billion e-commerce giant that we know today. Similarly, if you look at the subprime crisis in the US, in the North America region back in 2008, that is when if you look at company like say Airbnb, or if you look at company like Uber, that is the subprime crisis is the situation which actually led to the gig economy, or the sharing economy, and these companies kind of came to be about at that point in time. And look where they are today. I mean, just a decade over in time, and they are probably a couple of the more well recognized unicorns. So all in all, to say that the the kind of, whether you call it an economic situation, or whether it is a natural hazard, or disaster, or whatever, has always kind of made people to think differently. Because when these kind of situations come by, I think over a period of time, consumer behavior changes dramatically. So for example, now if you look at the SA Innovation Summit, and similarly there are so many other events and conferences which are taking place virtually. Maybe in the future there is never going to be an offline conference, or even if there is, the chances that it is going to be a hybrid conference where it is offline and online is probably going to be the reality. Because people now know that in the last 6 months, the way they have connected or they have attended a lot of conferences virtually, it has cut down on so many things. It has cut down on travel, it has cut down on time. On a same day, I can be in different time zones, attending different kind of meetings, meeting different kind of people. So all in all, the events industry is in all likelihood going to see a major impact because of this situation. Similarly, the work from home culture, I think a lot of organizations in different parts of the world were already adopting work from home, but now because of the situation or the pandemic that we are in, I think there are so many global technology companies which have said that in future, even when the world returns to normalcy, we are not going to have a place which is known as office. Wherever you are, whichever country you are in, whichever city you are in, whichever part of the city you live in, your home is your office. And we'll kind of ensure that if you are our employees, we will improve or upgrade the IT infrastructure at your home to ensure that you're connected to your team, whether it is in the same country or in different countries. So like Sam Altman, who is the former founder president of Y Combinator, says, this will be a before moment and an after moment for the world. So there are ways in which things were being done before the pandemic or before COVID-19, and there is going to be ways in which the world will behave or consumer behavior will remain or continue to remain post COVID-19. So there is incredible innovation which is on its way, and whether you're China, you're in India, you're in Africa as a continent, I think innovation is going to come across all different parts of the world, and different kinds of companies will shape up as an outcome of COVID-19, which will kind of increase the pace of overall innovation by at least 5 years. So whatever would have happened maybe in 2025, if the situation was normal, I think because of COVID-19 and the kind of situation we are all facing being at home, I think a lot of consumer behavior is going to change. There is going to be a lot more invasion of digital in our day-to-day life, whether personal life or professional life. And this is going to be that seminal moment where there is pre-COVID and there is post-COVID. So looking at things from a business horizon, and this could apply even to governments at large, whether at a municipal level or a city level or at a country level. So let us break it down into three broad horizons. Horizon one is your current business as usual. I mean, everything is normal, everything is perfect, and life goes on. There is horizon two, where as a business, you're looking at developing and launching new products and services. And this could also apply to government when probably you're doing a national ID kind of a project, or maybe you're automating driver's licenses. Maybe you're introducing a rapid transit system. So a lot of developmental work or smart city projects, those kind of initiatives which government kind of takes on, where there are new products and new services being launched for developing new cities. And you have the third horizon, which is basically the space for experimenting and seeding options for the future. So if you know of Sidewalk Labs, so Sidewalk Labs is a company spun out by Google. And what they're doing in different parts of the world is that they're working with governments to identify pieces of land which can be as small as 10 square kilometers in radius. And these are typically lands or pieces of the city which probably was not in the main central business district or something like that. And they are building a city ground up on the internet, so a connected city. So Google spends a lot of money on a lot of developmental projects, and they do a lot of things with governments in different parts of the world. I'm sure they're doing things in Africa as well, like they do in India, where they're trying to bring internet to everyone. Whichever remote corner of the country you're in, you should get free access to internet. That is something that Google keeps working on. So similarly, I mean, Sidewalk Labs is a project which is spun out by Google to actually build cities ground up on the internet. So this is basically a space for cities or businesses to kind of experiment and seeding options for the future. But if you look at Horizon 1, Horizon 2, and Horizon 3, this is very much from an idealistic kind of a situation, and it can be very theoretical. The pace at which Corona or COVID-19 has hit us has required many businesses and governments to be nimble in terms of their response time. So innovation is no longer an option. Earlier it used to be optional. If I have the budgets, if I have the time, if I'm right up ahead of the curve, I have time to kind of innovate and be different and be the leader of the pack. But because of the way in which the pandemic has hit a lot of businesses, I think innovation is no longer optional. If you don't innovate, you're not going to survive. Your share of business is kind of going to go away. So this kind of highlights the need or importance of digital. So if I can just apply this to government, I think a lot of services that government earlier used to provide, I think government is one area where irrespective of which country you're in, if you're availing government services, you need to go to an office. But now, because whether you're renewing your business license, whether you're renewing your driving license, if you're a car owner or a cab driver, you want to renew your license plate of the car, you go to an office to get it done. So for a lot of things, you need to kind of go to a government office. But now, because of the pandemic, I think even governments have realized how important it is to develop their digital capabilities, and the government needs to come to you as a citizen, right? Likewise, if you look at universities, I mean, students always went to a college, they went to a university. Because of this current situation, the university has to come home. I mean, there are so many universities or so many governments which are spinning off digital universities. So there is going to be no campus which you can go to. I mean, the university is where your home is, right? So the corona crisis has basically highlighted how important digital capabilities are, but at the same time, also how important is speed. You cannot wait for 3 months. Earlier, if you are a business and you wanted to launch a digital product, you could have a roadmap, you could have milestones, you could launch the product maybe 3 months from today or 6 months from today. But now, because of the way the situation is, I think people are almost working backwards to ensure that how quickly they can introduce the product in the market. But at the same time, it is not about now and today. It's about now and today and also the future. So whenever you're building any product with digital capability, whether you're a government offering services or a business offering your products and solutions, or an academic institution offering courses, you're not just thinking of solving the problem of today. You're solving the problem of future, because consumer behavior is, like I said, has going to be changing for good. What we would have witnessed in 2025, like I said, we are witnessing 2020. So whoever is building any kind of digital capabilities or digital products, you need to think about continuity, you need to think about scale, and you need to think about scope. How many people can I cater to? How fast can I cater to them? And can I cater to them not just today, but in the near future and probably the long term as well? So this crisis is definitely going to end. It is not a never-ending thing. People will kind of make peace with it. There will be vaccines out there. There'll be people kind of getting back to business, getting back to school. But what it comes down to is at the back end of the crisis, when we are kind of tapering off and when we are kind of getting back to normalcy, is that how are new businesses going to be built? Because these businesses will not be built the way businesses were built earlier. These businesses or these plans will be built with a mission, with where resilience and ability to tackle a situation like now will already be budgeted for. Because before corona hit us, or before covid-19 hit us, I don't think there was ever a time in humankind that everyone across the world was faced with the same challenge, and because of it, there was no collective thinking. There were a lot of problems which were regional, which was specific to a particular country. But now, because of the way globally we have been hit by the pandemic, I think businesses, when they are building for, whether it is for consumers, whether it is for governments, for other small businesses, they are going to be building things keeping in mind how corona or covid-19 reshaped a lot of things. So businesses will need to kind of buffer for situations like this, so that uninterrupted, unrestricted businesses can continue to happen despite whatever pandemic or situation we come across. So the if you're looking at building something, the success will require you to think in a way about your assets, your customers, in a very different kind of a way. And the innovation aspect of doing business, or the innovation aspect of connecting with your customers, will have to be kind of rethought of in a very different way than it was ever done before. So a lot of changes are going to be coming up, whether in business environment, whether within the organization, and people will need to kind of reinvent themselves. This situation has to be seen as a catalyst which will help you uncover new growth opportunities, to build up a future-proof kind of innovation engine, which will allow you to overcome situations like this. Probably look at things where you're going to be distributing, whether it is knowledge, your products, in a very different way than you were doing earlier. But all of that is going to be possible only because we have come up against a situation or a wall which we had earlier not hit. So what is the role that technology innovation is going to play, or what are the areas of technology innovation which are actually going to impact businesses and economies going forward. So we have identified 5 broad areas where technology and innovation will kind of go hand in hand. So localization, the first and foremost one, supply chain. So whether you're manufacturing cars, whether you're building aeroplanes, whether you're just providing IT services as a business, or you're manufacturing something, I think the importance of localization of supply chain is going to kind of change massively. There were a lot of imports happening globally from China, and that is going to kind of change massively. Trade policies are going to change, but at the same time, micro, small, and medium enterprises, which are traditionally been catering to local economies or local markets, I think their importance is going to go up multifold, and different economic kind of initiatives or reforms are going to come in place from governments. Also, large corporates using their CSR or corporate social responsibility or philanthropies are going to try and beef up micro, small, and medium enterprises in order to ensure that their capacity is scaled up to a level that they can address local market requirements. So localization of supply chain is something which is going to be a super critical area of where technology meets innovation. The second one is digital. So like I said earlier, whether you're direct to consumer, whether you're business to business, whether you're business to government, whether you're government to consumer, I think digital is going to play a very critical role in the present and the future, and everyone is going to require to build up their digital capabilities. India and Africa as a continent, very similar in terms of how we have evolved over the years. I think access to a lot of things, whether it is access to education, access to finance, a lot of these things are very similar when you compare Africa as a continent and India as a country, because more than 70% of India still resides beyond the metropolitan cities or the large metros, and access to a lot of these things are pretty much similar challenges. But with digital, I think the gap which was being faced by the infrastructure or physical infrastructure, I think that can be easily overcome, and a lot of services which were earlier difficult to provide to users who are living in remote areas or in developing kind of areas, I think digital is going to kind of increase the fold of people who are into that, whether it is providing education, whether it is healthcare services, whether it is providing access to finance. So leveraging digital, I think a lot of gaps will be overcome, and thanks to COVID. So that's another area of where technology and innovation kind of meet. The third one is business optimization. Now, when we talk of business optimization, this can be viewed in different ways. So like I mentioned in one of the earlier slides, if you're a traditional business which has a very strong distribution and reach and customer connect, I think the access to that network of customers that you have, or how you view that asset, the intelligence that you're able to gather from your customers, and how you can layer technology on top of it, or digital on top of it, or probably even apply localization on top of it in order to be using technology innovation and catering to your customers better. I think that is one area. At the same time, leveraging technology, I think reducing cost, reducing wastages, being more efficient in your productivity. I think that is few more areas where a business can optimize themselves leveraging technology. The fourth area is data and AI. So artificial intelligence is something that we all keep talking about. There are a lot of use cases that AI is being used for. A lot of this has got to be with personalization, whether you're catering to your bank account, whether it is your health records, whether it is learning or learning pedagogy, where it is personalized learning leveraging AI. But again, data and AI is something where we keep hearing about data as the new oil. So with the current pandemic situation, I think a lot of big businesses and governments have realized that data is something that you can layer a lot of things on top of and be able to administer better services or cater to customers in a better way. And the last one is agility, like I spoke about in one of the earlier slides. I think one thing that COVID-19 has taught us is that, especially on the side of technology, innovation, digital, it is not about just being able to cater to your customer. It is about being agile, not just for today, but being able to cater to your customer fast, and also at the same time think about the continuity part of things. So how can you kind of rapidly deploy solutions and continue to offer them in an uninterrupted way? Because with COVID-19, one of the situations that a lot of businesses have faced is that they were not ready to use digital, or they were not accustomed to using digital in their day-to-day business, because of which their ability to provide uninterrupted services was came to the fore, and they realized that it was a loss of revenue, it was a loss of business, loss of trust. So how agile can you be by leveraging technology innovation in catering to your customers? That is again something which the current pandemic has taught us. So let us look at some top areas which are expected to gain traction. I mean, some of these are very straightforward and very obvious. So the first one being virtual world. I mean, it is great that we are connected. We are attending a conference. I mean, sitting in Mumbai, we are talking to an audience which is in different parts of Africa, or particularly in South Africa. So virtual meetings, virtual demonstrations, virtual pitch sessions, virtual conferences. So this is something that is going to become the normal, or a part of a hybrid world that we are all going to enter into. Learning and education, like I said earlier, a lot of universities, a lot of campuses are turning to digital learning, or digital university. So just a couple of days back, the southern Indian state of Kerala, they launched one of India's first digital universities. So this is an absolutely new university. It is going to have no physical campus. All the programs are going to be run only digitally, and there's going to be digital certification. So I mean, even if you look at rest of the world, I think just like India, different parts of Africa is a great exporter of students to universities in North America, in Europe, in Australia. And I don't think in the near future, a lot of students will be able to travel from different parts of wherever you are in Africa to the US, to Canada, to the UK, or wherever. And all of the learning and education, whether it is professional education, whether it is your undergrad, postgrad, or master studies, I think a lot of it is going to turn to digital learning. The third one is digital channels. So whichever business you are in, it is no longer about just being a direct to consumer brand or an internet first brand. So anything that requires sales, whether you're selling automotive, whether you're selling real estate, whether you're selling financial services, I think a lot of digital channels are going to be established by brands which otherwise would sell offline only, because without having digital channels to sell, they're going to lose out on a lot of customers. And similarly, administration by using augmented reality, virtual reality, and so on. Customer experience. So if you're talking of sales, I think selling is just the beginning of the relationship with the customer, and you need to have a very strong customer experience team which is able to cater to your customers and ensure that there's customer satisfaction and customer retention. So use of technologies like AI for personalization, for automation of services, providing them virtual experiences which allow them to kind of be satisfied customers, being able to kind of fulfill requirements and requests in real time by using probably video calling and things like that. I think customer experience is going to undergo a lot of changes. The next one is healthcare. So like I said, Africa is a continent of 53 countries. I think fairly large continent. A lot of healthcare services are still restricted to major cities, and there are challenges in providing healthcare facilities to the underprivileged or people who do not live in large cities. But with current situation and technology taking the fore, or coming to the fore, I think you're going to see more penetration of telemedicine, remote care and diagnostics, using AI for healthcare. Uh, so healthcare is a major area that is going to see some kind of changes because of the situation. Logistics and supply chain that I already spoke about. So technologies like 3D printing. So again, industries like automotive and other manufacturing industries, where traditionally they have been dependent on spare parts coming from different countries, where there are OEMs or original equipment manufacturers. I think because of the current situation and localization of supply chain, by using technologies like 3D printing, by using robotics, I think there is going to be a lot of localization of these. in turn, what is also going to do is that it is going to impact the logistics industry. So if there is going to be a lot of manufacturing and micro, small, and medium enterprises growing their share of businesses in the local markets, I think directly or proportionately, another industry which will be impacted is the local logistics industry. So we are going to see a lot of last mile logistics companies shaping up in Africa over the next few years. So we were looking at different industries which are getting impacted by technology in Africa, and one of the things that we saw was that fintech, health tech, and logistics are the three major industries in which you're already seeing a lot of activity and action as far as technology startups go. And because of COVID-19 and the way in which, if you look at this, if the supply chain industry is going to be impacted, you're also going to directly see logistics industry getting accelerated. The next one is data, AI, and cybersecurity, and I'll link it to the next one, which is fintech or the banking and financial services industry. Both of these will go together to a long distance. The next one is mobile internet. So I myself have lived in Africa, and I lived in Tanzania from 2004 until 2008. And one of the surprising things that I saw at that point, so India still did not have things like M-Pesa, which is phenomenally successful in Kenya. M-Pesa was launched in India by Vodafone a few years back, and it never scaled to a level that it did in Kenya and some of the other parts of Africa. Now, the reason I'm stating that is because if you look at Africa as a continent, I think one of the game changers that mobile internet has played or mobile has played is that a lot of people, the first time that they experienced telecommunications, it was not the dumb phone sitting on your desk, which was your typical dial-up phone. Most of the people in Africa, the first time that they experienced telecommunication was through a mobile phone or a handheld device. So in that way, Africa has anyways leapfrogged different parts of the world when it comes to telecommunication, because most of the people experienced telecommunication through a hand phone. Now, if you layer mobile internet on top of it, and whether you're providing services to agriculture, to universities, for financial services, and so on and so forth, I think Africa already has a leg up on it in terms of being able to cater to customers using mobile internet. But I think the next wave that you're going to see is going to be in the area of content, which could be media and entertainment, it could be gaming, it could be mobile and video commerce, which is yet to pick up at a scale at which it has, whether in China or in India. And if you link up a few of these things, whether you look at digital channels, whether you look at local supply chain, whether you look at a stronger logistics economy, I think when video commerce and mobile commerce pick up in Africa, all of these other things, whether it is mobile payments, whether it is digital sales channel, whether it is local supply chain, all of this will only make the e-commerce and the mobile commerce economy in Africa to be much stronger than what it is. And the last one is the sharing economy. So whether you're talking of two-wheelers, whether you're talking of shared cars, whether you're talking of a kind of a barter economy where people can share things between themselves, I think the sharing economy or gig economy is another one which is going to gain traction over the next few years. So coming to the last part of my presentation, after which I'll be happy to take questions. And if you already have any questions, you can post it in the chat window and we'll be happy to take it. But otherwise, once I'm done with the presentation, you can feel free to kind of ask me any questions that you have. So the reason why we made this presentation is because you need to kind of really strategize and adapt to the current situation, because who is disrupting your business is not someone who was existing yesterday or today. It is not your current competitor. It is going to be someone who was probably non-existent, right? So as a business, if you're competing, you're not competing with a company which is a decade old or a few decades old. It is probably going to be a startup. So if you're a large corporate who is listening to this presentation, the best way to kind of move forward and overcome this current pandemic situation and fueling the next wave of innovation, you need to learn how to partner with startups. So startups are at the core of our business, and we are always going to be talking about how technology, how innovation, how entrepreneurship is probably the way forward. They need to be a part of your strategic thinking. So even if you're a government and you're looking at solving big problems, you need to think about how do you empower entrepreneurs, how do you empower startups by creating favorable policies, by creating corpuses where you're providing seed capital to companies, you're providing incubators and accelerators which can help companies thrive. they need to be a part of your strategic thinking, which will allow not only solving problems, but also probably creating jobs for the future. And you need to invest in companies, you need to invest in startups. So whether you're a large private sector company, whether from manufacturing, from mining, from automotive, you're a bank, you need to invest in technologies of the future, because gone are the days where everything could be done internally. You need to kind of create an environment where you're collaborating rather than competing. And when you think of collaboration, the best way to do that is probably removing a share of your profits and investing in people who are building companies of the future, because they will then become a part of your journey. So the only way to kind of survive situations like this is to kind of focus a lot on entrepreneurship, on innovation, on technology, and startups. And the three mantras for success is to partner, make them a part of your strategic plan, and invest in people who are building technologies of the future. So with that, I will end my presentation. I'm happy to take questions. If anyone has questions relating to their business, relating to what I spoke, more than happy to address that. Please feel free to ask a question. Anyways, in the chat window, I'm going to drop my email address. If you have any points that you want to share, discuss, if you want access to this presentation, just drop us a note and we'll be happy to share the presentation. But it would be great if you ask some questions. I know it's been a long day for most of you if you have been attending the sessions, but still be happy to take some questions.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, you're speaking to Makosi. I'm part of a startup called Afrobotics.
Okay.
So definitely, great presentation. I agree with you. Innovation is necessary. However, a problem, a challenge that we've seen is that during a crisis like the COVID crisis, people would invest in rapidly building softwares, finding solutions, but then afterwards, they get back to business as usual. For example, my company is a data preparation company. We prepare data for organizations. However, after post-COVID, our clients actually moving back to the large companies, the Microsoft Azures, the IBM. They're falling back into that traditional kind of position. How do you think we can sort of like penetrate the post-COVID economy, sort of? Yes.
Makosi, that's a good question. Which country are you from?
I'm from South Africa.
South Africa.
I'm
Okay.
from South Africa, yes.
Cool. And how big is your company?
So it's a very young startup, so about 5 people.
So I think the smaller the company, it is easier to tackle a situation like this and to kind of take it head on, because there's only one way out, and that is how do you come out victorious, because there's nothing to lose. But coming to your question, so are there any specific industries that you cater to?
So currently we're catering to auditing firms.
Okay.
Right, preparing their data. We're catering to actual data analyst companies, because they know how to quickly analyze data, but the data preparation takes quite a while, about 80% of the project. So they outsource that, as well as integrating information from different databases. Right. So that's what we do. And that part, the integration of data from different databases, is now being outsourced to the bigger, larger companies.
Okay, so it's a fair question. And so a lot of companies which are similar to the work that you do, that we have come across even in India, I think it's a very common challenge, if I were to kind of put it that way. But there are different ways in which you can tackle it. So the reason why probably a lot of, and because data is a very strong commodity, and the reason why companies prefer to go to large organizations, so whether it is from a technology standpoint or whether it's an auditing company standpoint, they feel safe. I mean, they may not be justified in what they say, but the only reason why they kind of tend to go away from a startup, even if you have successfully completed a POC or a pilot, is because there is more trust on the other side. So the way in which you can overcome a challenge like this, and because you mentioned Microsoft Azure, are you a part of any of the Microsoft programs?
So we're actually in an IBM program, not a
IBM program.
Microsoft one. Yes.
Yeah. So I think one good way of tackling this situation. So I'll give you a very relevant or a similar example. So one of the startups that was a part of one of our accelerator programs, they were dealing with Unilever, and Unilever was, so it was a very similar kind of project, and that's why I kind of relate to it. So they were compiling data, financial data for auditing for Unilever for Southeast Asia. Now, this startup was a team of 4 people,
Mm-hmm.
and the chief financial officer for Unilever in Southeast Asia had given them a pilot project, which the company successfully completed. But when it went to the management for approval, the management said that, look, this is a 4 member company. They may have successfully completed the pilot, but tomorrow, if we give them work and they do not have venture capital backing them, and if the founder decides to close the company and go and do something else, we will be running a big risk. So what this startup did was that when they had to go and have a next round of negotiation with the CFO's office, these guys were already on Microsoft Azure. So the guy who was running the Unilever account for Microsoft, he accompanied this guy, the founder, for the meeting, and kind of gave an assurance to the CFO saying that, look, we as Microsoft are backing this company. The company is a partner to us, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever effort is required, whether it is for the migration of data, whether it is from a security certification standpoint, Microsoft is going to be backing this company. So that gave Unilever some level of confidence to actually kind of go ahead and give the contract to those guys. So I would suggest that there are different ways in which you can overcome. Either you go and partner with the IBMs and the Microsofts of the world as they become your system integrator or your partner, or you can get into their so whether you look at Oracle, IBM, the Google Cloud, AWS, Microsoft, all of these guys have very specific startup programs. You should try and get into I mean, as many programs as you can. If you are married to Azure Cloud, maybe you stick to Microsoft. But if you're okay with Bluemix, if you're okay with Oracle, I mean, you just go and partner with all of their startup programs, so that they can give you that level of comfort and security when you go and talk to a corporate. The other thing is that because you focus on the audit industry, I think you should also look at tier 2 or tier 1 audit firms, because look, the auditing firms, they are good at their job of conducting the audit, but they are not technology companies. And if they get access to someone who is building technology, either as a service, which could be a SaaS product, or it could be purely an enterprise deployment product, you just go and partner with some of the tier 1 or tier 2 auditing firms, so that they can do the customer development process. You don't need to go to the customer. So if it is a EY or if it is a KPMG who is going to say a customer, and they require a technology solution for auditing purposes, they are the ones selling your product. You don't need to go and sell. So you need to kind of find ways in which you can partner with someone who is stronger than you, is a more trusted brand than you, and they kind of become your front face or your customer face, and that helps you in kind of growing and scaling your business.
No, definitely. Good points. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, you can send me your details or your company name on the chat window. I'll have a look at it, and more than happy to connect you with people that we know within the continent. And if there is any kind of organization we can plug you with, more than happy to do that.
Mm. Thank you so much. I'll definitely do that.
Sure, thank you. Anyone else with a question or a comment? Sure. So Kauthar has sent a message. If you can just send your email address, we'll be more than happy to send across the slides and the recording. So if there are no questions, I can end the session. Sure, Keenan, we got your email address. We'll send you the deck as well. And you connected with me on LinkedIn as well earlier today. So look forward to keeping in touch. Thanks, Makosi, for sending your email address. We'll share the details with you. Cool. So with that, we'll just wrap up the session because I think questions are done.
AJ, just want to say thank you very much for the insightful presentation and look forward to keeping in touch via LinkedIn and email.
Sure, Keenan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.